Both pilots?
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Todd McFarlane's record Spawn number 300 is rapidly approaching. Dave Sims Cerebus holds the current record for longest creator-owned comic run, reaching issue 300 in 2004. Spawn number 301 the following month officially breaks that record. Image Comics co-founder McFarlane created Spawn over 40 years ago as a high schooler. The Spawn series became one of Image Comics' flagship books upon its release in 1992. McFarlane originally made his name as a Marvel Comics artist before jumping ship in search of more creative control as one of the Image Seven. Spawn number 300 features an all-star creative team: DC writer Scott Snyder, former Spawn artist Greg Capullo, cover artist extraordinaire J. Scott Campbell, and current Spawn artist Shawn and Jerome Opena join the Toddfather on the landmark issue. McFarlane will ink Capullo's pencils as well as pencil some interior pages of his own, marking his first interior pencil work on Spawn in years. Capullo drew Spawn from issue 16 in 1993 until issue 100. DC Comics co-publisher Jim Lee also contributes to the issue in an unidentified role. I didn't want it to be what I saw in Detective Comics 1000, where you have 60 covers and everyone comes on, and they do a pretty picture and they're out, McFarlane told comicbook.com. I probably could have got 60 people to do 60 covers, because you just say, hey, you want to do an anniversary issue? It's good for resale value, if nothing else. I want to put a book together that you and I, when we were collectors, would go, oh my gosh, this is cool. John Byrne came back to X-Men, and Terry Austin is going to ink it. Oh my gosh. So come on, join on board. And that was sort of the pitch that I gave Greg too. Greg for a different reason, because he obviously already laid down his licks. But to me, it's just a cool fun factor that the boy band is getting back together for one last tour. Todd McFarlane is no stranger to landmark issue 300s. He created the classic cover and did interior art on Amazing Spider-Man 300. His historic Spider issue features his first throwdown with now classic Nemesis Venom. Spawn number 300 is a giant-sized 72-page book priced at $7.99. It features 12 covers by McFarlane, Capullo, Campbell, Opena, and Alexander, with black and white artist edition variants showing original art by McFarlane and Capullo. McFarlane is an industry leader many young creators should emulate. Rather than getting in nauseating political debates and insulting fans, the enthusiastic Toddfather is seemingly marketing his Spawn series and highly successful line of McFarlane toys 24/7. He also sells his line of Spawn comics for $2.99, below the industry norm of $3.99. Speaking of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, anticipation for their final Batman collaboration, Last Night on Earth, is hitting fever pitch. When Snyder conceived Batman Zero Year, his version of the Dark Knight's origin, he also plotted his death. Snyder and Capullo reunite to tell this story in Batman Last Night on Earth. It presents the final days of the Dark Knight in a way readers likely never envisioned, wandering a post-apocalyptic wasteland, accompanied by the detached head of his greatest enemy. I conceived of it back when we were doing Zero Year. I think I told you during an interview back then that Grant Morrison once told me that the way to kind of own your version of Batman is to create an origin story and a final story. So I was thinking of them almost simultaneously. Snyder told Newsarama, and this was always the final story, and I wanted to do it with Greg, and we were still on Batman when I was planning it. Snyder first set the stage for Last Night on Earth in 2014 in a short story drawn by Sean Gordon Murphy for Detective Comics Volume 2, number 27 anniversary issue. The story, 27, is about a machine that clones a new Bruce Wayne every 27 years, explaining how Batman has managed to fight crime for 80 years. Batman Last Night on Earth is a 3-issue prestige format miniseries. It releases bi-monthly starting 29 May. Issue 1 is 56 pages and a $5.99 price tag. The DC Black Label miniseries is intended for mature readers. DC launched the line to house high-profile stories that take place outside of the current DC continuity. Batman Last Night on Earth follows the highly successful Batman Damned series as the second release in DC Black Label. There's plenty of excitement surrounding the final story from Scott Snyder and frequent collaborator Greg Capullo. They previously created the highly regarded Court of Owls story together. Snyder has written a multitude of great Batman stories, including The Black Mirror. Last Night on Earth appears to be another home run for DC Black Label. Marvel announced multiple tie-ins to August's Absolute Carnage event. Frank Thierry, Saladin Ahmed, Cullen Bunn, and others joined event lead Donny Cates. Tie-ins include Deadpool and Miles Morales. Marvel also released a cover for Absolute Carnage number 2. It depicts a horde of Carnage symbiotes chasing Venom while appearing to catch Miles Morales' Spider-Man. Marvel's recent events, Age of X-Men and War of the Realms, are DOA this year. Despite high initial sales to retailers, a quick look around LCSs shows a dearth of unsold stock of both events. Marvel desperately needs a hit. Absolute Carnage is just what the doctor ordered. Led by industry wonderkin Donny Cates, Absolute Carnage has more buzz than any Marvel event in years. Comic industry legend Warren Ellis relaunches Wildcats at DC Comics with Bordertown castoff Ramon Villalobos. Wildcats is an important title in comic book history. It was one of the original series to launch Image Comics. The new Wildcats miniseries is a spin-off of Ellis' recent The Wildstorm, a reboot of DC co-publisher and chief creative officer Jim Lee's comic universe and former publishing line. A new Wildcats team is introduced during the Wildstorm revival. Wildcats has a long tradition of legendary creators including Lee, Chris Claremont, Alan Moore, and Grant Morrison. The new 6-part series launches 28 August. Warren Ellis claims he brought Villalobos and color artist Tamara Bonvillain on the series based on the work on Vertigo's Bordertown. Bordertown almost single-handedly killed Vertigo's 25th anniversary relaunch and is mired in controversy. Ellis has a reputation for championing terrible creators he likes personally and creating opportunities for them in the industry. Despite the tremendous excitement surrounding the series, the inclusion of Villalobos and Bonvillain likely precludes a number of interested readers from supporting the book. Neal Adams returns to the classic villain he first drew, Ra's al Ghul, this summer. Adams will write and illustrate the Batman vs. Ra's al Ghul miniseries, which returns Ra's from death. The story is set in continuity and coincides with DC Comics' Year of the Villain promotion. Adams also illustrates 2 new covers for the book. DC is releasing a facsimile edition of Batman 232, the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul, to coincide with the 21 August release. DC's facsimile edition releases are similar to Marvel's True Believers, reprints of classic issues at affordable prices. Batman vs. Ra's al Ghul finds a Gotham City under siege by terrorists, with Batman determined to find the source of the violence. This follows Adams' recent Deadman miniseries, tying Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins. Anytime Neal Adams returns to write or illustrate, it's a treat. He's been an industry pro since the late 60s, creating some of the definitive modern Batman and Green Arrow iconography. Adams is also a staunch creators' right advocate, helping secure pension and recognition for Superman co-creators Joe Siegel and Joe Shuster. Immortal Hulk is a certified hit in both sales and critical response for Marvel Comics. They announced at the Diamond Retailer Summit in Las Vegas they are reprinting director cuts of the first 6 issues in August. The Immortal Hulk reprints will include original artwork, scripts, notes, and other production material from series creators Al Ewing, Joe Bennett, and Paul Mounts. Marvel Comics sales are still struggling well into 2019, and they're milking one of their few hits. Resale prices for the first prints of Immortal Hulk are soaring at the moment. Unfortunately, the first 6 issues of Immortal Hulk have all been reprinted at least 4 times. Unless the director's cuts contain original cover art, collectors looking for books to grow in value need to stick with the original print runs. The market is already saturated with reprints of Immortal Hulk. Plenty of juicy comic news at the moment. The direction Todd McFarlane takes Spawn number 300 is excellent, and it features an all-star creative team. DC Black Label finally releases its second series, Batman Last Night on Earth. Fans of The Dark Knight are chomping at the bit for Snyder and Capullo's final story with the character. Marvel Comics has a multitude of tie-ins for their much-anticipated Absolute Carnage event. Industry legends Warren Ellis and Neal Adams both released miniseries at DC in August. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to hear from you all in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.